Flow Mashkaram and Flow Mastay. My name is Sumedh Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state catalyst, a flow state specialist, here to help you feel and perform your best. I help you go from low to flow, from a fear state of mind to a flow state of mind. Let's get started. Today I want to speak about gratitude. This was something really that hardwired into my mind during my positive psychology program in my master's. Gratitude was such a big theme in positive psychology that a lot of the times we hear it in pop culture and it becomes somewhat off-putting just because it's so toxic positive, right? It's like this, it's like something associated with like signaling virtue and all of these ideas like, oh, look how grateful I'm being. Oh, I'm such a grateful like this kind of weird projection trip of this fakeness, right? Sometimes you got to take care of shit, but I understand also that gratitude is just a scientific way of saying happiness, bro. Don't overcomplicate this thing, okay? Yes, you can keep a gratitude journal, is what the mainstream media will tell you, but I'm here to change the game on this thing, okay? From what Andrew Huberman has said, including my own tech, and I'm gonna give you a protocol for gratitude that overrides all systems. So gratitude, first of all, gets you from the lower states of consciousness, from like shame, guilt, fear, and fear is actually would be the opposite of gratitude, in the sense of I'm focusing on what I don't have instead of what I do have, right? Fear is this feeling like a victim, right? Feeling like you're in scarcity, like there's not enough, like I'm in lack, like I can't survive, like I can't, go on and so forth. I know when I'm in a victim state, I'm saying state because it's not an identity. I'm not a victim, you see? It's a state, it's a feeling. So once I'm in that state, I value my abundance even greater. I look at this thing like an Aikido movement of the unification of energy, and like using the energy of the thing itself against itself, right? As Quasi, one of these YouTubers, said, it's not about going with the flow. It's not about going against the flow. It's about redirecting the flow, okay? So it's going with the flow and then going against it. It's like both, in a sense. It's like you're using the energy of this Aikido metaphor, okay? Now, understand that that's a very powerful dynamic when it comes down to your gratitude practice, right? A lot of these mantras, if you don't say them from a specific state, let's say you're saying something from the state of love, you're going to feel more love, but you have to first access where that is in your mind. Can you find the patterns of your past that got you to feel this very similar feeling that you're looking for? So last night, it was Ryan's first live channeling. He's trying to channel, Ganesha is guiding him through it, but what ended up happening is that he ended up channeling Sis Kuberi, okay, who's Kubera's wife in a sense. And that, what was brought up about the fear of abundance is, you might be afraid that you can't handle it or whatever, in terms of the money, but how do you know? How do you know? You're not in that position yet, right? And that question of how do you know is such a powerful game changer, because it gets you to question your own reality, the false frames of reality, the false mental models that you've given yourself, right? Now, I'm not a huge Crowley fan, but I have been looking into some literature based on last night. We got a lot of guidance based on this. We ended up clicking on Ozzy Osbourne video connecting him to Crowley, and it opened up this kind of bag of worms in a sense, okay? So he says that thelema, or thelema, is the Latin for true will, innermost spark of divinity. What's interesting, he also states that will is first, and then love is the law underneath the will. Another thing that was brought from last night's channeling is to be able to optimize your top 3 strengths of the VIA and embrace it into the characterization, okay? So the VIA is something called the values in action, okay? We talk about this in positive psychology too. There's a lot of these kinds of things like Clifton Strength, Strength Finder. There's a bunch of other ones. I really like VIA. So personally, I'm a little bit biased towards the other systems because I'm not really that familiar, in a sense, with them. But I'm very familiar with the VIA, and I understand the value of doing something like that, right? Finding out what your top strength is and then optimizing the fuck out of it. We have all these archetypes inside of us bits of ourselves buried in our psyche, in our collective psyche, right? These symbols in the back of our mind. We can access the subconscious through symbols, through repetition, or through trauma. This is why something like shock therapy would work. Instead of firing your fear and defense networks all the time, I encourage you to be an offense. Stop being a defense against life. You're gonna feel like this is a struggle, this is a hustle, this is an uphill battle. You don't wanna feel like that. You wanna feel like, I'm perfectly fine, man. It's my time to shine. It's my time to glow. Let's get it. But now, if you're doing that with nothing to prove, no stats on the table, get out of there, okay? Stretch your comfort zone. Spread your wings and fly. Hey, I have to say not literally because there are some morons out there, okay? I do recognize that. I'm being compassionate with those morons because I myself enter an imbecilic, silly goose state at times. Bro, I don't want you to think of gratitude as this flimsy, like flowery, la 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 practice where you're like prancing through the woods. You gotta be ferocious with your gratitude. Like it's high intensity interval training. That's what I want you to compare it to. The word in Sanskrit for gratitude, this is very interesting. It's called kritajna. Now, side quest, okay? Side story, okay? There's this guy who saved my life when I was very young. His name is Krit, so it has the word Krit in his name. But Krita is the real word, which means cultivation, okay? But I found that just fascinating to understand that. And Ajna is obviously the third eye, also referred to as the third eye, right? So that's also another synchronicity I just wanted to point out in terms of my life story. But yeah, moving on to the word. So Krita is cultivation. Jna is the state of consciousness. So this is a cultivation consciousness. That's what gratitude is, bro. You get that? I'm speaking to the chicas too, okay? I'm not just saying bro just to classify this towards men, because this video is required for both. You don't just want to be focused on giving gratitude. This is what a lot of people focus on. Well, Andrew Huberman states, in terms of the science and the research that's out there, it's important in receiving gratitude too, receiving thanks. What I've done is I've taken the voices of certain celebrities, okay, and I have transformed their voice. There's a software to do this where you can deep fake celebrity voices now, and I turn that into a subconscious audio file for myself as that celebrity is thanking me, as that movie star is thanking me for who I am and my presence. And that actually creates an openness and expansiveness. It's really about an encouragement of your positive emotions is really what gratitude is almost like a warm blanket for, right? So if you've heard of the Hawaiian chant, the Ho'oponopono, okay? This is powerful for forgiveness and reconciliation, and it heals any energetic charge or negative charge blocks, right, that are preventing you from getting the life that you want. So once you're saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you, these statements will unlock something. Now, based on this framework, let's go into something that Rion Kati had shared with me, okay? Where you take an icon, somebody that you want to be like. Personally, I chose Jason Momoa just because of his charisma and, Aquaman, that whole flow state essence, okay? I think he embodies the priest beast quite well, just in terms of his archetype. So you would say, damn you, Jason Momoa. What makes you so goddamn good looking, bro? And then you pause. And then you say, actually, please forgive me, bro, for judging you, for damning you and judging you for all those years. I'm sorry I was projecting. I'm sorry that I was putting you high on a pedestal or belittling you. I was just showcasing my own disconnection from source, right? And there's a specific script to this, okay? But I'm just giving you an example, right? This kind of gratitude monologue towards your golden shadow, right? So the golden shadow is the fear of your own greatness. You got to direct this energy, okay, towards your golden shadow. For instance, who is it in your field that you want to be like? Okay? Let's say that I want to respect someone in my field, in a flow state field. Let's say I see Wilson Melancelli, right? And a great guy, you know, have high respect for him. But let's just say I feel a jealousy towards him, that he might be getting more views or something like that than me, or something like that, right? Whatever it is, right? I'm just giving a random example. Just couldn't think of a flow state. Maybe like Stephen Kotler, or like... The thing about it is, I'm a niche of my own. You see what I mean? I'm in that brink of spirituality. He's not even touching spirituality. He's talking about parasympathetic nervous system, right? He's going into his own world. So you compare apples to oranges, pears to bananas, bro. You can't. We're two different entities doing our own things in our own universes, right? One verse, one song that we're singing. Now we can cause a remix if we collaborate. Have you ever thanked someone for being so self-loving that it gives you permission to do the same? Now you're thinking, oh, I just read this monologue once and we did it. No, we did this for like 3 hours. We were looping this monologue, okay, in the background. And then we went into another thing, another sex icon-based tech, right? Hey, this is like the spiritual Olympics, guys, okay? And a lot of you are not caught up yet, and that's completely valid. Start where you're at. Start where you're at. If it just takes you to do a meditation every day and you find it difficult, to keep a gratitude journal, I highly recommend do some breath work beforehand, before you start writing, because you will alter your state of consciousness, making it more calm. Therefore, the subconscious worries, all the doubts, everything will come up, you know? And you can actually use gratitude as a way to understand what happened, really, to neutralize the situation. Let's say your family isn't speaking to you, right? So let's say you go through a breath work, alter your state, and then you just write down all the negative things about what your family is saying about you, and then use gratitude as the modifier. You see, you go, however, I am grateful that this event pointed me out to what I needed to fix or needed to solve in this situation. Without this, I wouldn't know where my shortcomings were, right? When I can be more grateful with myself, I can be more grateful with those other people who are just as much respecting my space and time, right? There's a beautiful model that I share with my clients, as well as how to basically reduce the emotional charge or frequency of an emotion. Like if it's very intense, right? How can you bring it down? And it's kind of a continuous process of desensitization, but it's very, very powerful when you can do that. When you can take power over your emotions again, and you're not just crying at anything or just like lashing out at anything, you become a master of your own reality. If you had to pick a character from a video game, right? Like you could pick all the traits and attributes and agility and, you know, power-ups and mana level. What would you choose? And I want you to gamify your life. I want you to think of your life in that very specific model. If you think of gratitude like, I'm gonna go for a gratitude walk. I'm gonna go through the woods, and whatever I see, I'm gonna embrace and be grateful for it. That little bird. Oh, cute dog, sir. I'm grateful there's no pollution in these woods. So grateful that these woods smell like cedar. I'm so grateful for the noises of nature because it reminds me that there's life teeming around me, that I'm not alone, but I'm all one. I'm connected with nature. I'm connected with me. I'm connected with truth. How does inspiration impact you emotionally? What are the inspirational stories when you look at them and you think about them and you feel into them, or different storylines that you've heard of different people's autobiographies, or people, you know, the underdog story is one that resonates with me, right? The story of someone coming back from the hero's journey with the elixir of life so they can give it back. And sometimes that happens with great movies like Harry Potter, for instance, that goes through this entire process, right, of these different adventures, tying up the loose knots in the end, right? Every situation has a beginning, middle, and end. Like every relationship also in your life has a beginning, middle, and end, right? And so you've got to live your story. You get what I mean? However, understand what are the stories that charge you energetically. Because if you're really the author of this thing, and check out my book TPM, okay, on Amazon, TPM, Theatroplasticity Method, you can just type it in. It's also in the description. So find a storyline, find a gratitude storyline that you can resonate with, and make it a repetitive process and a symbolic process so it enters your subconscious. That is the secret. This is the goose that lays golden eggs. This is the Midas touch. I want you to think about this with depth, bro. Not just look at it one-sided, but like, how would Rasputin think about gratitude? You know, whoa, that's going into a weird world. But guess what, buddy? This perspective that gratitude is cool as fuck and is badass is way long overdue. It's been sold to you as this kind of pacifier. Gratitude, peace, compassion. These things are badass, bro. When I say them like that, we go, okay, peace, compassion, right? Making fun of it. But yo, this shit is cool. This shit is cool. And I don't even want to call it shit, so I'm going to rephrase that and reframe that. These things are cool, man. Gratitude doesn't come from weak people. Gratitude comes from the strongest people because they realize how much of an optimizer it actually is in their lives. You get it? Ask anybody who has a functioning mental well-being and a mental health, a subjective well-being as we call it in positive psychology. Ask anybody who has that glow, that subjective well-being, like, oh man, I'm having fun, bro. Woo-hoo-hoo. If you can truly tap into that today, then kudos to you. Thank you, okay? Now, what about attraction? What if you want to attract somebody, right? So you would imagine them speaking to you like ASMR style, right? And you hear them saying thank you to you, okay? Whoever you want to attract, okay? Or it could even be the genre or style of woman, right? Or style of man, if you're a woman watching, right? Just envision them saying thank you to you and see how that makes you feel. Receive that gratitude. I feel so good. I feel acknowledged. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Well, it'll do something to your system, okay? If you want to learn more tech like this, okay, I work with people one-on-one to help them out, really. The world is in a really fucked up place, as you guys know, okay? We're out here understanding that we gotta be healers, also gotta be monsters at the same time. Wow, monster healers has a dope ring to it too, right? You know, these are all archetypes. You can access this through your psyche. You have some idea of it. So why not let that inspire you to your greatest self? Why not figure out your perfect culinary formula of your consciousness? You get it? What are the right ingredients that need to be there? And what needs to be cut out of your diet, your mental diet? Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang, may we never be the same again. Stay legendary, okay? We got this. You got this. Hit that like, subscribe button if you enjoyed today. Let's go. Us.